Welcome to the next episode of Mining with Mates. This is season 2, episode 7, and my guest today is a dear friend of mine, Jen, also known as Irish Jen. Jen has a very, very interesting story. Jen grew up in Belfast in Northern Ireland, and she is a dancer, a musician, a devoted wife and stepmom, a world traveler, an entrepreneur, and she is also a mentor and life coach. And I've known her for a number of years, and I'm looking forward to having a chat with her. So let's say hello to her. Hi.
Oh,
Hi. Wait. Yes. You there? Yes. Jen, repeat after me. Cade me to Fulcher.
is that?
Irish Gaelic.
Amazing.
Thank you. For those who have no idea what that means, that is roughly 100,000 greetings to you. Roughly? Yes?
How beautiful. Yes. Yeah, roughly.
But would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Jen McRae. I am dialing in from Sydney, Australia, originally from Belfast, Northern Ireland. So I grew up during the Northern Ireland Troubles, and for anyone who hasn't heard about that, it is essentially a time in history where the country was divided. So the Protestants wanted to remain a part of Great Britain under the rule of the Queen of England, and the Catholics wanted to be a part of a united Ireland and be ruled under their own Irish president. Now, this war went on for a number of years, and during my parents' childhood, there was many bombs and shootings that went on, and actually that continued during the early stages of my childhood. So when I was 7 years old, I got a couple of weeks off school because the hotel beside my primary school was bombed. Now, luckily, that was at midnight on a Sunday. If it had been, during school hours, a very different outcome. But luckily, when I was 12 years old, I lived through the peace process. And we had President Bill Clinton from America come over at the time. And he was very integral at, actually bringing peace to the country. So now it's an amazing, vibrant city, very multicultural. When I was growing up, only 3% of the entire population was not non-white Irish, basically.
Wow. Do you know what the figures are now?
Now I think it's in the high teens, so around 17-18%.
Wow, that's definitely a change.
Yeah. And I guess that's what led to my love and curiosity for travel.
Yes.
Because I was so isolated and I really wasn't exposed to different races, different cultures, backgrounds, people, even flavors of food, honestly.
Yes.
It was a very sheltered upbringing. As soon as I could, once I started traveling, I basically haven't stopped. So I've got 3 passports and I've been to nearly 50 countries in 4 continents so far. So yeah, I don't just go for one type of holiday or adventure or exploration. I was also a bridesmaid in Africa, in Gabon, and I was the only native English speaker out of 250 guests at this African wedding.
Wow.
And the people who were English speaking or who understood English, they were all from France. And actually the ceremony was conducted in the French language.
Wow.
So at school, I studied French and German, and for my HSC, French, German, and business management were my 3 subjects.
Fair enough. Cool. And I mean, yikes, that's a lot of travel. I'm blessed to have been able to go to over 20, and I feel like I've done no travel compared to you. How long were you traveling away before you settled in Australia?
Great question.
Because I know you took some time away from Ireland, but didn't really settle anywhere for quite some time.
Yes. So I left Ireland when I was 18, and I went to study in England. And as part of that degree, I lived and worked in Germany and Austria.
course you did.
And then at the end of that degree,
Of course you did.
ended up in a relationship with a Kiwi who was a pilot who ended up moving my entire life to Dubai. And I lived in the Middle East for a while, living the pilot wife lifestyle, which was, you know, an amazing penthouse apartment overlooking the Palm Islands and these 5-star fancy gyms and all this.
Sounds terrible. Someone had to do it,
yeah,
right?
It was awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went back to England for a while, but my job was actually global travel. So I was marketing the business school of the university internationally. So they sent me to India, 8 cities in China, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, all over. So I got to travel extensively with Bridget.
Again, sounds terrible. You didn't start dancing until you got to Australia, correct? Exactly.
I didn't properly start dancing until I had a Colombian boyfriend in 2014, I think it was. Right. And he only lasted the first term and decided he didn't want to continue. So I ended up dancing by myself and going to these classes and falling in love with all sorts of dance styles.
Yes. I mean, I guess so. Clearly that hasn't worked out very well for you. Clearly.
No.
So what I wanted to ask you in regards to your travel was, I mean, I know that you were very, very unwell at one point while you were traveling.
Yes.
You don't need to share that story if you don't want to. You can, of course, if you want to. But the question is, did you ever experience any particular issues being a white woman in these countries, based on the fact you were a white woman whose first language was English?
Yes, and that goes as young as when I was 17, and we went on a family holiday to Tunisia, North Africa, and my dad has 3 daughters. And a wife, so he had 4 women who were constantly grabbed and hissed at and whistled at when we would leave the hotel, to the point where for the second week of our trip, we didn't leave the hotel at all.
Oh,
we felt so uncomfortable. Yeah.
That's well, I mean, the only way to put it is that's disgusting.
Yes.
So, yeah. I mean, if you were to go traveling now and something like that were to happen, how would you respond differently?
To be honest, I feel I'm much better at setting physical boundaries. Like, I would kind of be a bit more assertive and confident within myself. Also verbally.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I didn't have the confidence, and I would just literally kind of try and pretend it wasn't happening and be very awkward and very uncomfortable. At the end of the day, it's still a very uncomfortable thing for anyone to experience.
Yes, of course.
But I feel I now have enough assertiveness to be like, back off, you know, and leave me alone.
Yes. I mean, that's good. That's good. So I wanted to know, quick fire thing, some of the best experiences you've had while traveling.
The best experiences. Oh, there've been so many.
I know.
Let me think about this. I did backpacking around America, the northern part of America, and I think we went through 22 states in a 3-month trip.
Bloody hell.
And when we were in Washington, D.C., this is backpacking, and a lot of trains and Greyhound buses, and very, very cheap accommodation. And this is back when I was a student, and we stumbled across a movie set in Washington, D.C., just outside the White House. And next thing, someone came over to us and said, "Hi, ladies," it's myself and a friend from Belfast. "Would you like to be part of a movie? We're just shooting it now." And we're like, "Are you sure?" Because we hadn't showered in 3 days, basically, like coming off a Greyhound bus and not looking at them. And they said, "Yeah, just put your backpacks over here, and just can you walk up and down this avenue for a little bit?" Sure. Anyway, we got to meet Kiefer Sutherland, Michael Douglas, and they were filming The Sentinel, which is quite a famous American movie
No way.
that was shot outside the White House in Washington, D.C.
Oh, well, I've definitely got to watch that now to see if you're in it.
So that was cool.
Are you actually visible?
Honestly, you would miss it. It's like a second.
Hey, I'm gonna have to.
Did find out.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to. I'm gonna have to do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, whenever the limousine was driving past in the scene that we were shooting, supposedly with the president with his arm waving outside the sunroof,
Yeah.
it was actually a kid who was playing that role, and he was only about 12, and he was just having fun that day. So I guess, yeah. It's just funny when you see behind the scenes how very different it is to what it looks like with the end product.
Lenny has a couple of comments for you. Lenny's someone who I used to work with who actually lived in Japan for a few years, but had to come back to Australia
Amazing.
because of serious health issues. And she says, amazing you were able to face your fears. How did you get the money for all those trips?
So I am someone who is not materialistic in any way. You come to my home and I have hardly anything branded. I have hardly any possessions, let's be honest. I have a laptop, a cello, and a piano, and those are my 3 prized possessions. Everything else I don't need. And it's a very decluttered way of living, minimalist. So therefore, I truly believe that experiences and travel are the most enriching thing that I can do with my life. And therefore, that's where my money goes to. It goes to travel experiences. I'm also very good at traveling on a budget because I've done it since I was 17.
Yes.
So I don't need fancy, expensive places. I would rather go for longer and go cheaper than go for a 1-week, 5-star resort.
Yeah.
So the other reason I've been able to travel so much is, as I mentioned earlier, I choose jobs that they actually send me to different countries as part of my job. So I did the job in England where I was promoting the business school to lots of different students around the world, and they sent me to many different countries. And when I came to Sydney, I knew I wanted the exact same job, and I knew the exact university I wanted to be working at. And it took me 9 months of living in Sydney, and I got the dream job that I had wanted. And then they sent me to Paris, to Dubai, to London, to India, to China.
Is that the one
all
that
over.
I met you working at, and you were doing that particular event where I ran a salsa group?
No, so that was a different job. So
okay.
I did the travel thing for work about 5.5 years full time, kind of living out of a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does become tiring, and I did want to settle, and I wanted to go to weekly dance classes, weekly beach volleyball training, and therefore you have to compromise. So I chose to then have a job that was settled full time in Sydney, and that's the job you're talking about, where I was actually working at a different campus full time.
Okay, fair. Okay, I mean, look, you've certainly lived a life, as you've said, and I don't think anyone could argue with you on that. I'm definitely jealous of the amount of travel that you have been willing to, well, not just willing to do, but been able to do.
But I think that's the key word. You said willing, because a lot of people want to, but they don't really take the proactive actions in order to make it happen. At the end of the day, it's down to the individual to make things happen in their life.
True.
And anything is possible if we put our minds to it. Like, there's some amazing people who I've met on my travels, with disabilities, with very serious illnesses, and they still manage to somehow, be able to travel. And I love that, because that inspires me immensely. To feel that they're limitless in a way.
Fair. I mean, I've definitely met people while I was traveling as well who also sort of made me go, hey, yeah, this is the right thing to be doing. I haven't traveled much in a number of years, and that's not just because of COVID. There's been other priorities, of course, but
absolutely,
you know, I do miss it. Lisa had a question for you. Least favorite countries, like bottom 3.
Least favorite?
Yes.
That's a great question. Probably Tunisia, that I had mentioned earlier, where I didn't feel very safe.
Yes. And that
would be one.
seems reasonable.
What other countries have been my least favorite? I would say...
Don't have to answer it if you can't think of an answer. That's also okay.
It's actually tricky for me because I really embrace every country I visit, and I really do enjoy wherever I go. I mean, I've had instances that have also been a bit scary in Laos, which is close to Cambodia, Thailand, that area. My friend and I were visiting a monastery, and it's quite a famous one where you go up on a big mountain and you look at the sunset there. And it's very beautiful. Yeah. And we got too busy, distracted, having a deep and meaningful conversation that suddenly when we looked around, it had got dark. We were the only ones there. And I had read something in The Lonely Planet that I had not shared with my friend because I didn't at the time think it was necessary. But suddenly it dawned on me what I had read, which was a warning. Now, we casually were like, okay, let's go back down. Now, on the way down, it's about 200 stone steps to get back down to the main street.
That's a few.
And it's a bit curvy, so it's not just a very simple way down. It's a bit technical. And we had 3 monks who were quite young, I would say between 16 and 18 years old, who were close to us and also very interested in us. So because of what I'd read in The Lonely Planet, which I'll reveal afterwards, I grabbed her hand and I said, let's go, let's get out of here. And I think she realized my urgency also when she felt a bit uncomfortable. So we started to walk and we picked up the pace, and then these 3 boys or men started to follow us down. And we started to pick up our pace. They picked up their pace, and it was like, oh shit. And they were chasing us basically down these steps. And my heart was beating so fast. And it got to the point where you know when you're running so fast, you're about to roll your ankle and like trip over yourself? Yeah. We were like, we had picked up so much speed, we were actually about to fall down these steps. So there was at some point a little bit of a space where there was a big tree, and we thought, okay, let's just stop here for a second, gather our breath, and just have a moment and see what happens. As soon as we stopped at this tree, they stopped just above us, and they stared so intensely, and it was just one of those moments that literally we went, and we just ran down the rest of the stairs till we got to the street, and that was the end of that. Right. And afterwards, I shared with her, look, I read in the Lonely Planet book that there's actually been a number of assaults, and it's actually very dangerous to be up there, especially alone as a female, and definitely you never go there after dark. Yeah. I had read that, but I hadn't shared that with a friend. But obviously she picked up on the situation. Yeah. So,
sounds like you were with a smart friend.
The country again. Oh, a very smart friend. And she's actually a runner. She's a professional runner. So that was handy.
Well, handy for her.
Handy for her. That's why I was like, oh my God, I'm about to fall over.
Okay.
But yeah. So, but it doesn't mean that I wouldn't go back to the country. I still love the country. People are wonderful. It doesn't. So even if I have experiences like this, that doesn't, I think, in a way, represent the full country or even this monastery itself. It just represents a very, very small minority. Yeah. And I think that's what I've learned from Northern Ireland, because growing up on the global news, people were scared to visit my country. They never wanted to come. All they could see was bombings and shootings. But in the reality, I had a really great childhood, and I was very much protected from a lot of it. And so people could have thought of me as a terrorist or something watching the news, but it's only a tiny, tiny fraction of the people in the country. The rest of them are fabulous.
All right, shall we move on from travel, seeing as you've only got basically an hour before you have to go, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Give us a quick sort of background on your education background, including, university as well as your music, because I wanted to talk to you about your love of music as well.
Okay, so education. So I finished school in Belfast, you only do 3 subjects in your final 2 years of school.
Mm-hmm.
So you go very deep. You don't have any other options for any other subjects. So mine were German, French, and business. So surprisingly not, I ended up studying international business management with German and French at university. Or so I thought, because that's the program I enrolled in. And the first week that I was in England studying there, the course convener said we're actually not able to offer both languages. You have to choose either German or French for the next 4 years.
Oh.
And I was like, ooh, and that was a hard decision because I loved France and I love the language. I think it's beautiful and sexy. German is a harder language. It doesn't sound as good in the ear. However, because Jen likes to have a fun lifestyle,
You went with German.
I chose German because, check this out, all the students who chose French, they had to do regular exams, they had to pass the exams, and they even had exams on a Saturday morning. If I went to Austria with my German language, I had no exams, no Saturdays at university, and that was the option that I chose.
Seems like a good choice.
It was the best choice ever, honestly. Those 9 months in Austria, I was skiing on the weekends. I was living an amazing time there in Austria as a student. It was wonderful.
I'm
and I
kind
was
of jealous.
something called an Erasmus student. So I even got a scholarship to go there as a European student. And that meant that I was surrounded by about 200 other students from different parts of Europe. And that for me was just fabulous. And so that's why I also have a lot of friends in different parts of the world, because through my studies, I became great friends with them. And actually this trip that I'm going to do soon, I'm going to visit one of them that I met in 2004, who lives in Barcelona. And Habibi and I are going to go stay with him in a couple of weeks.
Sounds not bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So then after the international business management, that then led to me doing the job where I was basically marketing programs for marketing business internationally. So it all made a lot of sense. It was a very nice transition from school to university to my profession.
Fair enough. In terms of your musical education?
So my granny, my beloved granny, she was a musician and was a piano teacher. She played the organ in the church. She was a choir conductor, and that was her full-time profession.
Right.
When I was 4, I think I pottered around in the piano for the first time with her. And then I started learning cello, I think when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And so my granny and I had a beautiful bond that she accompanied me on the piano for every cello exam that I did.
Aww.
So I know, it was wonderful. So there are 8 exams that you do before you qualify to be a music teacher. And I did all of those 8 exams between age 12 and 17.
Jeez.
And my granny accompanied me for every exam. So I had my grade in both piano and cello by the age of 17. And then I started teaching from home when I was 18 in my parents' house in Northern Ireland.
I did not realize you were quite so accomplished at it.
Oh, right. And then when I went to university in England, check this out. I was living in a halls of residence flat, which was basically looked like a brick prison cell. And it was very small, very pokey, and not attractive space whatsoever. And I advertised that I was going to be teaching cello lessons if anyone was interested. And I just put it on some local community boards.
Yeah.
Next thing, I have a neurosurgeon who reached out to me and said, I've never played an instrument in my life, but cello is something I've always wanted to play. Would you teach me? And I said, yeah, sure. So I had this neurosurgeon who was about 20 years older than me coming to my pokey, tiny little student flat in a prison cell every week to learn cello.
That is just one of those stories that, you know, you got to go. I mean, it's too good not to be true.
It's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. So that happened. And then in the third year of university, I got into the National Youth Orchestra of Ireland. So up until this point, I played for the City of Belfast Youth Orchestra, and I had toured around Germany, France, Hungary. I'd played in Euro Disney Paris. I played in the Nuremberger Ring in Germany.
Bloody hell.
And then this summer, when I was 21, I played Wagner's Ring Cycle, which is a 16-hour opera. And
What?
oh my God. It was excruciating. So because I never wanted to be a professional musician, I just wanted it as like a passion project on the side.
Yeah.
I was actually in this National Youth Orchestra of Ireland, surrounded by pretty much everyone else wanted to be a professional musician.
Right.
So they were in it for a different reason, and they had a lot of self-discipline and a lot of drive. Me, I was in it for the social, let's be honest. I was there to make friends and have fun. That's
awesome.
Check this out. So the rehearsals were for about 6 weeks before we went live with concerts and live on BBC Radio. So for 6 weeks, we had a schedule of practicing 10 hours a day, 7 days in a row, 1 day off. Practice 10 hours a day, 7 days in a row, 1 day off. This was the full orchestra. And it was so intense. And so my expectations were not met because I thought I was going to have a great social time. I was exhausted. I was so exhausted that actually I fainted during a live concert on stage and had to be taken off stage.
Oh, jeez.
And this was one of the times where I ended up in a wheelchair from actual burnout, and I was taken to hospital. Straight from the stage.
One of the times?
Yeah, I've actually been in a wheelchair 3 times from burnout. After Wagner's Ring Cycle, I didn't touch my cello for 13 years.
13
And I didn't
years.
play piano for about 10 or 11 because I was so sick into music. I just only wanted to travel and do languages and other things. And that's when dancing came up eventually, because after that experience, I went from loving music to hating music.
13 years without touching it after being a professional. Basically well, would you consider yourself having been a professional musician?
Me personally, no, because I didn't officially get paid to perform. Yes, I got paid as a teacher, but that's not a true musical professional in the performance sense.
Fair
So no, I never ever thought of myself as a true professional.
So you played cello for all those years, and you finally came back to it.
Yeah.
What have you done with your music since you got back into it?
So since I got back into it, I really, really find a lot of joy in teaching. So I have cello students and piano students that come to my home in Sydney. And in addition to that, my partner, who I call Habibi, which means darling in Arabic, he plays Egyptian flutes. So he and I have done some collaboration where we have created a YouTube channel called Belfast to Cairo. And we've created some videos where we've filmed it in different parts of Australia. And we're going to continue to do that. It's just for fun. So we haven't dedicated huge amounts of time to it. So with the music, I am very clear that it's just a hobby and a passion. I will never go and ever play an opera again or anything of that level.
So far.
Yeah.
So you're like, but also, no, really.
So with the teaching, that's consistent, and only a few students. I don't want to have too many because, as you said, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a life coach, I have other things going on, dancing as well. But just to have a little bit of that in my life is wonderful. And then with, the YouTube videos, little performances here and there, that's just more sporadic. So Habibi and I will be asked now and again to do a performance maybe for a fundraiser or some sort of gigs that come up. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So that's wonderful. Yeah, we've been asked to do a fundraiser for AIM, which is an Aboriginal amazing organization, not-for-profit, that helps mentoring of young Aboriginal and Indigenous students. And Habibi had also been asked to do one for the Lebanese fundraiser, and they were keen on a cello-flute combination.
Cool.
Because it's quite unique to have the Egyptian flute with a cello.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an unusual combination.
Yeah. So yeah.
I've very much enjoyed the videos that you two have put up on YouTube that you've posted.
Thank you.
They're very 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 beautiful. And I will, yeah, as I said, I'll definitely be putting links and things for people because I know that a lot of my viewers will enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I think we haven't really marketed it, or we just shared it with our personal networks, which was wonderful. But as you said, I think the feedback was so wonderful that I guess if we can share it more, then more people get to enjoy.
Yeah, of course. So I'm just cognizant of time because I know that you have something to go to later.
Yeah.
So let's move on to your dancing. Yeah. So I met you first through dance, but you hadn't been dancing all that long when I met you, correct?
No, that's right. I think when I first met you, I might have done 2 beginner salsa courses, or maybe I was into level 2. I'm not sure. But with salsa, there's so many levels.
Which school were you at again? You were at LDA, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. It's all right. I can say letters. People online won't know what that means anyway. Yeah. So, I mean, you said you got into that from your now ex-Colombian boyfriend, and you then just stuck with it. Did you?
Well,
sorry, go on. Yeah.
I have to say, when I went through a breakup, dancing became my way to enrich my soul and to brighten myself up. So when you go through a breakup, sometimes it can be a very, very difficult time. And for me, dance was a way to find myself and to really, build myself back up and bring a lot of joy to my life.
Well, that's really quite nice to hear. And so you started off at that particular school, and then you ended up loving it clearly, and going to the Croatian Salsa Festival, I believe. And the first
one was the World Bachata Festival, and I performed on stage with Nestor Manuelian.
Oh, bloody hell! You performed with Nestor at your first? Wow.
My very first, yeah.
For those who...
It was 2 couples on stage.
Yikes. So for everyone who doesn't know, because why would you guys know, Nestor is one of Australia's premier salsa dancers and teachers. He and his brother for many, many years have run a school together, and it's, I have full respect for those two. I've never been a student at the school. I haven't really been a student at pretty much any school for very long. My path is a little different in that sense, but they are really, really nice guys, and they're very passionate about dance. And for you to have performed with them in your first, wow, that's impressive.
I couldn't believe it. It was such an amazing opportunity, so wonderful. And of course, I jumped at the chance. And I think that's part of who I am. Even if something is very scary and come on, that seems like a ridiculous thing to do because you know who Nestor is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I was like, say yes and go for it. And I had the time of my life, and he's wonderful and such a good mentor. And it just was amazing. And then after that, I had a friend. So then I wanted to get into bachata.
Yes.
And I had a female friend from volleyball, beach volleyball, who was like, I really want to perform, but I want to be the lead. And I didn't know if there's any females who would actually want me to lead them. And I immediately was like, I would love to be led by you. And she was like, really? And then we were a same-sex couple as part of the bachateros for a different school.
I think I saw that performance. Well, one of them.
Oh, yeah, we went and performed in Sydney and in Byron Latin Fiesta in Byron Bay and somewhere else. So, I really enjoyed that same-sex couple experience in a team as well as...
Yeah. I mean,
the traditional way.
For me, as someone who is traditionally a lead, I quite enjoy following, and I'm actually pretty good at it. And the thing is, you know, it's something that a lot of the, I guess, old school, to put it, you know, in one way, old school dancers, especially the guys, won't want to do. They just, nah, I can't do that because macho stuff, toxic masculinity and stuff. And it's sort of like, well, hang on, it's dance. I don't understand why people are so concerned about these things. It's like, it's just dance. You know, it's a form of expression.
And what I've experienced in the Zouk world, so now I've moved towards Brazilian Zouk dancing, which I've fallen in love with. I love the music, but also there's much more fluidity in terms of females being a lead and a mixture of who leads and who follows. And even within a couple, you can take turns throughout one song, who leads and who follows. And I love that. Yeah.
I mean,
so they're much more comfortable with that setting. The Zouk space is a very safe space.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be this masculine, you know, toxic behavior as much at all there. And so, yeah, it really feels more like a meditative dance and a real flow between lead and follow. And it doesn't matter what gender it is.
I personally don't understand Zouk. I don't think I will ever attempt to learn it. But that's a personal preference. And my understanding is, for those who do really enjoy it, is they all would say basically what you've just said, which is that, you know, it really is quite meditative. But, you know, I'm really glad to see that there is this gradual, but sure, it is definitely happening change within the dance scene, in that, you know, it's not as focused on traditional norms anymore. You know, I mean, we don't need to look much further than you and Habibi for difference of, you know, what things used to be, because you two are from completely different backgrounds, and yet so what? And
exactly,
you know, when I first heard that you had met him and were, you know, so in love, I was like, yay. My first thought wasn't, oh, but that's so weird, like they're different people. Shock horror. Different people marry different people. And they dance with different people, and they sing with different people, and they work with different people, and, you know, they stream with different people. Like, wow. I don't know. I'm a little cynical about some people, but not you guys. Actually, quick question. Did you ever do any Irish dancing?
No, so that's an unfortunate thing. So growing up, I came from the Protestant background where we weren't taught Irish dancing. Yeah, so my cousins who lived in Dublin, they had the opportunity to learn Irish dancing, but I didn't have that opportunity growing up.
Oh, would you ever consider learning it these days?
I definitely would have fun with it. I probably wouldn't take it too seriously, but I would definitely,
I actually know some people who, why is that not placing? Oh well, whatever. I actually know some people who do it, I guess semi-professionally. So I mean, I could get you in touch if you wanted. If you really.
There's actually quite a big Irish community in Sydney.
Yes, and especially the dancing. A number of the dance schools that I've hired venues from. For classes, they've got not just a program, but a program for kids that is actually internationally renowned. It's like,
oh wow,
in Sydney, like what? So random. I know, right? Like, you weren't expecting me to say that. But yeah. And I've seen some of these kids dance, and oh my god, they are insanely good at it. Like, with all the leg bending, flicky things. I don't understand Irish dancing because legs don't move, but they do, and the upper body stays still, but also it does. I don't know. Anyway, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about though was our friendship. So we met when? Where did we first meet? Which place? Was it just at the Argyle? I can't remember.
I think so. I think it was the Argyle.
Okay, so for those who don't know, so 99.9999% of my viewers, the Argyle is a place in Sydney, in an area called the Rocks, which used to have salsa every Wednesday night, and it was for a long time really, 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 really good. And I would go every week. I would be there for 4 or 5 hours, and I met this lovely blonde, very smiley young woman who I'd never met before, who had very long legs, and I thought, bugger it, I'll ask her for a dance because she just looks so friendly and beautiful, and boy, could she dance.
That was so much fun. Yeah. I always love dancing with you.
Oh, I miss dancing with you. Would you ever be interested in, if I was to do a salsa stream on Twitch, would you ever be interested in joining me as a partner?
Sure.
Cool. I mean, I haven't done that before, but I would definitely like to. So yeah, I mean, we've met at lots of different salsa events, and we've danced salsa, bachata, kizomba together. You don't really do kizomba anymore, do you?
So, I have to say my two favorite dances currently are zouk and kizomba.
Oh, okay, so I take that back.
So, yeah, I used to be very consistent at going to Kiz Off Broadway, which is a Sunday night social for kizomba. Loved it. And I guess more recently, because I had a stepson, now we have Xavier on weekends. So I dance less on weekends and more during the week.
Fair enough.
So there's less kizomba socials during the week. In fact, I don't know if there's any pure kizomba.
I honestly wouldn't know.
Which is why I dance less. Not because I don't like it. It's just purely for the days that it's available.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I've barely been out to salsa this year because of my health, which sucks. But you know, I was almost gonna go last night, and then I wasn't having a good day, so mentally, it was pouring with rain, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna stay home, have Lisa over, we're gonna eat pizza and watch Umbrella Academy, and that sounded much better, and it was.
I have done that so many times as well. Yeah, when the weather, especially, it's a bit miserable outside, you just want to be snuggled up and cozy indoors.
Oh, it was very, very nice. What I wanted to ask you about next was your Awesome You Academy. Because you've mentioned it a few times, but I don't think anyone watching or listening has actually understood what that is. So yeah, why don't you explain to us a little bit, what the Awesome You Academy is?
So essentially, Awesome You Academy is a coaching, training, mentoring academy that helps you live a more fulfilled life, both personally and professionally. I feel that there are so many individuals around the world who feel undervalued, who feel overstressed, who feel not good enough, they're low self-esteem, low self-worth, and I want to help as many people as possible to feel better within themselves and to also enjoy their life more. So whether it's with their relationships, whether it's with their profession, their job, so it's been running since the beginning of 2020, so just before COVID hit. And it's been an amazing journey so far. So it's all based on mindset, positive psychology with some neuroscience as well.
Fair enough. And I mean, how many clients would you see in a week? And how do you see clients?
So, because of COVID, I have many clients in different parts of the world because we can now with the online.
Yes.
So that's great. So they are from England, Singapore, all across Australia. Where else? Philippines, Germany. So yeah, it really is, I guess, truly global. And now what I'm loving is that we can do some face-to-face again. So within Australia, I can start to go back into organizations and actually meet people face-to-face and deliver some workshops, which for me, just I love that human connection element to it. And pretty much every time I go into an organization to do some sort of workshop, whether it's how to beat procrastination or how to manage stress, that then would lead to one-on-one coaching clients as well. So it's everything from business owners with, like multi-million-dollar businesses, all the way to friends from the dance community who maybe just want to make some changes in their life. So it's very varied, which I love as well.
Cool. And what would you say has been the most rewarding thing for you personally in terms of running the Awesome You Academy?
I think the beautiful messages that I consistently get from clients who are like, just so heartfelt and thankful for things that I've helped them with. That for me is why I do what I do. Okay.
Awesome.
So I'm not really after the, I don't know, awards or accolades or anything like that. Just those personal messages are what really matters.
Where do you see this business going? Like, do you see this being a long-term thing for you? Do you see this sort of growing to being other people doing the mentoring as well?
Yes. So already Habibi is starting to do the coaching as well.
Cool.
So it's building out a bit of a team and doing more co-workshop facilitation together. Probably growing our podcast because we have a podcast now.
Yes, I want more episodes of that.
Yeah, the Jen and Adam podcast.
Yes.
So, and I've also started writing. So I'm in the middle of writing 2 books.
Of course you are.
Which,
of course, because you can't have enough on your plate ever, right?
It's been quite a therapeutic process. Well, I have to say, I definitely am a lot less socially active as I used to be. So I'm much more conscious of how I spend my time. And because I really, really do love the home that we have created and the business that we've created, I really don't see that many people that I used to. So to give context, when you first met me, oh my goodness, I was this social butterfly who would be out 7 nights a week, literally, and probably 2 or 3 things every Saturday and Sunday. So I'd go from party to party and split and float around.
Yep. Oh, I remember.
I don't have the energy for that anymore.
No, I mean, I don't have it either.
I
don't have it either.
I just don't have the energy. So that is not sustainable for me anymore. And because I love my home life, I love, I guess, my mission or, my purpose. Therefore, when you say, just another thing to add to your list, currently I don't feel too busy because I have, I guess, chosen not to fill my life with so much busyness like I used to.
Which is quite healthy.
It's super healthy and it just feels great. Yeah, so it's very much a good balance at the moment.
Good. Yeah, I definitely need to figure out that whole balance thing. Look, with COVID having hit me so hard personally, it's been very tough to get myself back into other things, but streaming certainly has helped. I don't know what I would have done without it, and all the people that I've met on here, they're all so lovely and they've been really supportive of me. So the next thing I wanted to quickly ask you about was how are you doing mentally, like with COVID and everything the last few years? it's been rough. Are you doing all right?
I'm doing all right now. It depends, I guess, for every person on on any given day how they feel.
Yes.
So today, super good day, super good week.
Yeah.
But in the last 3 months, I've definitely had very challenging days, and I'm going through a whole process of becoming more conscious of who I have been, why I've done the things that I've done in the past, and who I want to be going forward.
Yeah.
So, for example, being a people pleaser
Oh.
and saying yes to everything is something that I have really, really worked on to try and have more healthier habits.
Yes.
And another thing that I find extremely challenging, but ultimately good for me, is distancing myself from certain friendships as well that I found that were quite energy draining.
Yes. I definitely know that feeling.
So I've been going through, I guess, a bit of an evolution personally in the last few months. So some days I'm great, and other days it's more of a struggle. And Habibi's been an amazing support with that as well, because
I imagine so.
he's kind of a couple of steps ahead of me in terms of that journey, and so he's incredibly supportive and just lets me be. And I'm getting good at not hiding my emotions, because I used to hide how I felt.
Which is why you always had the big smile
happy
on.
and smiling for everyone.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But he's helping me learn that no, if I'm not okay, also share that and let people be there for me, because I'm such an independent person. I used to never ask for help or ever really show emotions in that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I definitely understand where you're coming from with that, and I'm really happy to hear that you are, working on these things. Because I know that while we may not exactly have been the closest of friends, and I think that's fair to say, when we have connected, it's meant a lot. And personally, I just want to say thank you. Because, well, I mean it. You're an absolutely lovely person, and you've never tried to hide anything from me in terms of how you're feeling. If you're not having a good day, you're not having a good day. And as someone who has plenty of their own not having good day moments, why do I phrase things like that? I do really appreciate your honesty, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers do as well. So yeah.
Well, I think I'm learning that we're all only human, and
what?
I think part of it was struggling with, okay, well, if I'm a coach, especially a mindset coach, then I need to be on my A game all the time. But that's not realistic, and that's not being true to myself.
Yeah, I also have been struggling with that just as a basketball coach. With the kids, I have made mistakes in the last month or so, the way I've spoken to them sometimes, and I've had to reevaluate why I've been speaking that way, and it had nothing to do with them. So
yes.
So I definitely understand what you mean when you say that. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So I think that we've gone through all of the particularly deep and meaningful things. Now let's get on to something really serious. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now I ask every single guest this question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
How do you take your coffee or tea?
So, with my coffee, I actually don't drink coffee. I drink chai lattes if I go and order something in a cafe.
Okay.
So, if a friend says, let's go meet for coffee, I drink a chai latte.
Okay.
And with my tea, I like it medium with milk, no sugar. Very simple.
Fair enough. That seems seems quite low risk.
Quite easy. I'm very low maintenance, low risk. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll I'll pay that as you know. Yeah. That's all right. That's all right.
It's not a very fun answer, especially for a barista. I'm very disappointing with my answer.
I mean, look. I have asked that in the past, and people have gone, "Oh no, this is going to be the most controversial part of the podcast." I'm like, "Of course." I used to ask what your favorite ice cream flavor is, but there's only so many times you can ask that. So, last thing we're going to do before I'll give you some time to spruik. We do a quick fire round. I'm going to say a word, and then you have to say the first word that comes into your mind. Okay?
Okie dokie.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're right. Now, first of all, have you ever seen Minecraft? Anything at all to do with it?
0.
Okay, great. Great, because this first word is going to give a very different response to what people who have played it. All right, creeper.
A bug.
Oh, okay, no, that's fair. Okay, flood.
Rain.
Ring.
Ring engagement.
Beanie.
Hat.
Salsa.
Dance.
Potato.
Ireland.
Kitchen.
Cooking.
Whistle.
Blow.
Bus.
Bus. Timetable.
Straya.
Kangaroo.
Door.
Frame.
Music.
Cello.
Sunshine.
Rainbow.
Art.
Painting.
Scream.
Smash lab.
Argument.
Fighting.
Helmet.
Motorbike.
Fish.
Swim.
Burger.
McDonald's.
Rose.
Flower.
Focus.
Attention.
What? Animal.
Dog.
Portal.
Spaceship.
And finally, imagine.
Daydream.
Well, Jen, this has been absolutely lovely. And it is so nice to chat with you and to get to know you a bit more. And to, you know, just learn about your world experience. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me. And yeah, is there any final words you'd sort of like to say to those who have been listening and watching?
I would just like to say thank you to you for the opportunity.
That's all right.
It's been, very fun.
Well, you enjoy your afternoon. Thank you so much, Jen. And
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. I will talk to you later.
Aw, you too.
And we're going to
Thank you
dance
so much.
soon. We're going to dance soon.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Alrighty. I'll see you later. Bye.
See you later.